Well, after months of questions and speculation, President Biden reportedly plans to launch his re-election campaign next week. The Washington Post reports it will be a video announcement that could come as soon as Tuesday, which happens to mark the 4-year anniversary of his 2020 campaign launch. But that timing seems to contradict Biden's original game plan, with an Axios report from earlier this month that claimed this. President Biden's advisors and close allies don't expect him to announce a run for re-election anytime soon, and some now believe it could come as late as July or perhaps even the fall. But now it's Tuesday. As it stands right now, the Democrat field has only self-help guru Marianne Williamson and environmental lawyer Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who entered the race on Wednesday. Republican hopefuls include former President Trump and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, among others. Paul Jackie Heinrich was reporting that the timeline was always around April, so it's a little unclear. The Axios one said the fall. So we've heard some different reporting on that. It could be as simple, this campaign launch in April, as the fact that the president has some international trips coming up. There's the debt ceiling negotiations, so the timing makes sense. Or it could be this. Let's put up the polling for the Democratic nominees, or contenders, I should say. You've got Biden at 67%, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at 14%.
Yeah.
So you have him in double digits. This happened Wednesday, so maybe President Biden woke up and said, look, I got to get out there.
I think you're right. I think so. Looking at this sort of tactically, I think taking a step back, they see this kind of a thing and they're saying to themselves, we better get out ahead of this because it doesn't augur well for where all of this is going, right? The other thing I think is, as you said, he's going to be overseas, et cetera. But what he's going to be able to do now is, as the old saying goes, you campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose,
Yep.
right? Well, now for the rest of the next 2 years or so, he can govern in poetry. And what we're going to get now is a lot of exalted rhetoric. We're going to get a lot of soaring promises, et cetera. And we're not going to get a whole lot of action on the ground. And you're already seeing it with some of the initiatives that we're hearing coming out. So as he takes overseas trips, et cetera, I think to really put a fine point on it, the idea is make him more presidential. Because the notion that he's not really up to the job, and I'm not breaking any new ground here, the notion that he's not really up to the job is really becoming concretized in the American mind. We're all really starting to see Uncle Joe as somebody that we'd like to kind of keep at home on the couch.
Right, exactly. We're back in that basement. Emily, he might have also looked at New Hampshire polling, which isn't very good. I mean, this is astonishing. Think about this. This is the sitting president. And take a look at this UNH poll. Do you want Biden to run in 2024? These are Democrats in New Hampshire. 50% say no. 43% said they do want it. And in this other New Hampshire poll of potential contenders, we know only 2 in the race currently, but has Biden at 25%, New Hampshire voters, Sanders 17%, Pete Buttigieg at 9%. Imagine your transportation secretary just 11 points behind the sitting president in the polls. It's really a wake-up call.
As well, look who they've elevated. I mean, Michelle Obama is 10%. So they're still fantasizing because they don't have someone that's a clear leader, right? Look at the array of not only politics of where they sit on the spectrum, but the reality of all of these contenders, the reality. And I have to remind everyone that the campaign aspect, remember when we learned that essentially what they're doing is gearing themselves up to be able to be nimble, to be able to pivot if something happens to Biden, for example, and he declines to pursue, or perhaps there's dark horses in the running. So I think I agree with your point that they're certainly making him more presidential, but look for there to be a very general campaign because they can then just pick up and insert to whatever the next contender is. I think the really interesting thing will be Gavin Newsom's comments as he emerges, Kamala Harris's comments, because the reality is the important position here is who's going to be vying for VP and who's going to toe the party line or who's going to break away and say, the American people don't want this. So here's why I'm throwing my hat in the ring, because I can do better, and Democrat Party fall into line behind me.
Julie, there's been quite a shift on the GOP side. If we could pop up the new Wall Street Journal poll. So in December, it was Trump 51%, or currently it's Trump 51%, DeSantis 38%. December, it was DeSantis 52%, Trump 38%. So mirror image flip here. Some intangibles. One, DeSantis hasn't announced. He could get a tailwind when he announces. The debate stage is going to matter a lot. But what do you make of this really mirror image shift?
Yeah, it is. However, I have to say, when you look at the numbers and you actually hear Biden announcing his presidential campaign, the timing of it is also very interesting. He's planning on announcing 4 years to the date of the anniversary of when he announced his presidency and his election campaign in 2020, right? Usually celebrate anniversaries. I mean, for most anniversaries, that's a celebratory event. This is nothing to celebrate. I mean, if you look at what's going on in this White House and what's going on in this country when it comes to inflation, gas prices, tensions with several superpowers, obviously. I mean, the country's a mess. Yeah. And so, who is it? Was it one of you said that, 67%, I guess, was a good percentage for why he wanted to jump in, right? Because numbers are high in that regard. His polling numbers are terrible. I mean, he's at like an all-time low, so I don't think there's ever going to be a good time for him to announce.
Nicole,
and there's no celebration on this anniversary.
No, there's not. Nicole, I think Paul's exactly right. Biden's just going to look presidential. That's his game plan. And for me, what Republicans can do, no name calling, try to avoid the personal insults. I realize this is a very optimistic Pollyannish view, but as much as you can draw a policy contrast, it would really behoove Republicans to illustrate that choice from the get-go.
Well, absolutely. And the biggest thing that Republicans do, they can just shoot themselves in the foot by going out and attacking Biden. He's doing a good enough job on his own. As Julie just alluded to, his approval rating is about 38% right now, according to CNBC. And a CBS poll from February shows that Americans believe that about 57% believe that it is his policies that are causing bad inflation and bad economy right now. So he's doing it to himself. And one thing, Emily had mentioned how Michelle Obama had about a 10% of Democrats for the front runner, and she's saying that's fantastical. Well, do you know what Kamala Harris had on that? 2%. And so the Democrats have a problem. If Kamala Harris is going to be the VP candidate once again, people don't like her. And it's not just Republicans. Democrats don't like her as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see who Biden chooses as his running mate, because people will know with his age that he may not last for a second term. And so they're going to be looking at that VP candidate, and people do not believe that Kamala Harris has what it takes, because she doesn't.
Yeah, normally vice president makes you heir apparent, but in this case with Kamala, vice president gets you 2% of your party voting for you. Wow. And quick reminder that Fox will be hosting the first Republican debate of the 2024 primary cycle. It will be this August in Milwaukee, the city that will host the Republican National Convention. We all look forward to seeing who's on that stage. Tune in right here on Fox.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.